The world has changed so much over the past 2 years. Before the pandemic, Prince Harry was just that annoying ginger royal who used to have naked parties in Vegas and occasionally wore Nazi uniforms. Now he's a mental health guru. Boris Johnson used to be an advocate of liberalism. Now he thinks you should show your papers to get into a pub. And Nicki Minaj used to be that woman who sang about having a massive rear end. Now she's an epidemiologist. Another casualty of the pandemic was stand-up comedy. Now, this week was the first time I performed in a comedy club for almost 2 years. Now, the thing is, I've been doing stand-up for a long time. It's become quite routine, quite predictable, you know what I mean? I go to the club, perform my set, standing ovation, go home, right? Always the same. But now it feels different. The world has changed so much that some of the things I used to joke about on stage, they've actually become real. So, for instance, I used to have a routine about the absurdity of the LGBTQ initialism and how it kept getting longer and longer. And now there are people who actually identify as LGBTQIP2SAA. I mean, what is that? I mean, it sounds like one of those old cheat codes on Street Fighter 2. People often don't realise that I'm gay because I drink beer and I've got my own spirit level. But I am. And even I don't know what all those letters mean. So it's become clear that you can't ridicule this stuff out of existence because activists just borrow your ideas. And that's why this show exists. So we want to grapple with the culture warriors without getting dragged into their culture war, which is not as easy as it sounds, because they have a rather simplistic but effective trick. It goes something like this. So culture warriors will call for statues to be toppled, for books to be pulled from library shelves, for old comedy shows to be censored. They'll say that children ought to be taught to see the world through identity categories such as race, gender and sexuality, that biological reality should be denied, that people ought to be arrested for their opinions, and so on. And then when someone says, hang on a minute, I'm not sure about all that, the activists will scream, why are you trying to start a culture war? It's a bit like someone punching you in the face and then complaining because you've got blood on their fist. And we shouldn't fall for it. On the one hand, there are culture warriors. On the other hand, there are critics of culture warriors. These are not the same thing. So on Free Speech Nation, we want to be critics of the culture war, not participants in it. So to be clear, I support those who want to stand up against homophobia, racism, and all other forms of prejudice. But I'm really not convinced that the best way to do this is to call everyone fascists, bully them online, or try to get them shut up if they don't share your point of view. So this week, for instance, Ed Davey, leader of the Liberal Democrats, was challenged on the Andrew Marr show on why he had banned Natalie Bird from running as a Liberal Democrat parliamentary candidate for 10 years after she wore a T-shirt with the slogan, woman, adult, human, female. Now, he didn't have an answer to this. Well, when your party starts outlawing people for quoting the dictionary, it does become quite tricky to brand yourself as liberal. I mean, what's he going to do next? Just issue a fatwa for anyone who's got a thesaurus? But then, given his belief that dictionary definitions amount to a kind of hate speech, maybe Ed Davey's definition of liberal isn't the same as everyone else's. Maybe he thinks it means prohibiting speech by anyone who doesn't go along with fashionable ideological trends. And let's not forget, this is the party that campaigned openly to reverse the democratic will of the people in the EU referendum. So really, for the sake of accuracy, he should rename the party the Illiberal Undemocrats. But it's not quite so catchy, is it?